Okay, welcome back everyone. It is now getting closer to the official release of Indiana Jones 5, The Dial of Destiny. Just yesterday we talked about the confirmed spoilers surrounding Indiana Jones. If you guys want to go ahead and check that out, go ahead as you please. But what's interesting here about Kathleen Kennedy is what she had to say further about Indiana Jones 5 and literally confirming it as a bait and switch between both Indiana himself and Helena, portrayed by no other than Phoebe Waller-Bridge. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. And without further ado, let's dive right into this. Now, we know that Indy 5 is going to be a very complex story as far as what fans are expecting out of this movie. We know a couple of things here, judging by the spoilers that we went over just yesterday, is that the beginning kind of feels like an indie film. Alright, I won't give anything away just yet. I'll do a separate video on this, but in the very beginning, like the first 15, maybe 20 minutes or so, it's said to feel just like an Indiana Jones movie, and then it kind of just goes downhill from there. It kind of gets you, it's like a gotcha moment, right? It kind of gets you thinking that Indy is back, like franchise-wise, and then like a big slope, it just goes downhill. So what's interesting about all of this is what Kathleen Kennedy had to say about Indy 5 when promoting it just 2 weeks away from its release date, and it almost comes across like she no longer cares about hiding the fact that this is yet again another bait and switch, much like how she did with Star Wars and much like how she did with other things out there, but this is another prime example that she does not care about fans. Let's dive into this now. Now, with Indy just 2 weeks away from its release date, Kathleen Kennedy has begun promoting the Dial of Destiny endlessly. Recently, she confirmed something substantial that is going to upset the fan base for Indiana Jones, where she stated the following by confirming a bait and switch for this movie. Now, she stated the following: "With this film, we really wanted to expand the magical journey of Indiana Jones. In the beginning, I sat down with Mangold, and we figured that this couldn't just be about Indiana. This story had to revolve around a new character to attract a new audience, much like what we did with The Force Awakens. It's always the new generation. We couldn't just focus on Indy in this movie. We get that in this story he is much older. So of course we needed to show some supporting characters like Helena and Teddy to lead the show. In the marketing, we didn't want to give that away entirely, but what I can say is that she is going to teach Indy a series of lessons in this journey of his. This film is really going to dive into Indy's emotions as a broken man. He's alone and needs an adventure for one last ride. We think fans are going to love it since Helena somehow ignites that spirit in him again to go on these adventures." Now guys, bear with me. Let me just pause here quick before I get to the next thing about Kathy Kennedy and what she has to say. She's letting loose at this point. I think that she finally realizes that the jig is up, alright? Everyone knows the cat's out of the bag. We are very well aware that we're being fooled with this movie, so it's almost like Kathleen Kennedy's like, alright, let me just state the obvious here. I might as well. And it's just bad. So again, like I said before, this is basically a Helena movie, based on the spoilers that we covered. This is a literal Helena movie. Every move that is made by Indiana Jones is assisted and guided by Helena in this film. There's maybe like one memorable moment in this movie, we'll talk about that a little bit later toward the tail end, that's going to capture the audience, and that surrounds some of the legacy characters, or whatever you want to call them in the Indiana Jones universe, right? So, interestingly enough, she is putting it out there that this is a bait and switch. This is no different at all than what happened with Kenobi, no different than what happened with Mando Season 3, as much as some people would disagree. I feel it was a bait and switch. That's just my opinion, guys, and I hope everyone respects that, but I really feel like Bo-Katan just took over the show without warning, and then Din Djarin was just cast as like this misguided, uneducated, person that doesn't know what he's doing in the universe, and Bo-Katan's like the know-it-all. Just out of nowhere, though. It didn't even happen progressively, it just happened like within a matter of one episode, it just started. So anyways, Moving on here, alright, she goes on to state further. It's a story of emotions and history lessons and education. We like to see it as an educational piece for sure. Well, no one wants to go see an educational piece for Indiana Jones. Moving on. It really deals with family, she says. This story is really Helena's story in this one, but we really wanted to explore Dr. Jones as an older man for a younger spirit to bring back his soul for adventure and exploring the world, to discovering hidden relics. The dial is the most dangerous relic we have explored yet in the Indiana Jones franchise. It truly is a masterpiece, and both Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Mangold really made this not just an indie film, but a story about Helena and Indy along for the ride to explore the many parts of the world. Where and when is a big part of this story, is all I can say. So, right there, guys, she's basically saying, yes, time travel's happening. She says where and when is a big part of this story. And we discussed this yesterday about the spoilers, very concerning spoilers. If you guys want to stick around, maybe I'll do like a little recap right here, right now. Might as well, right? I'll do this in a matter of 30 seconds. So, Mutt is killed off. He's dead. He served in Vietnam. He died in Indy 5. And that's the explanation of why Shia LaBeouf is not in this movie. Another thing is that Helena does have a backstory that's told in the first act of the movie, and it takes up a lot of screen time. A good chunk is the best way to explain it. And toward the tail end of this movie, Helena is teased to go on more adventures. She's basically taking the mantle of Indiana Jones, and part of the ending has to do with Indiana reuniting with Marion because he's divorced over Mutt's death, and he reconciles with her. Period, the end. That's like just a couple of spoilers out there that we talked about yesterday. But moving on. This is interesting because we know that there were 6 whole endings that were shot for Indiana Jones 5, and 2 of which were going to have big cameos, such as Dr. of course, Jones with Henry Jones, father and son inside of a biplane, and flying off into the sunset. That would have been the most proper thing to do, but that was erased. And they also had plans to bring back Shorty, aka Short Round, played by Ke Huy Quan, and that fell apart too. So there were 2 endings that were going to be magnificent, and they totally hit what could have very well been, you know, a golden goose maker for Indiana Jones 5. That really could have ignited the franchise to perhaps maybe even do some spin-offs, where maybe you want to have a Short Round spin-off or something like that. They could have done so much stuff that could have gravitated toward the fans, but no. The main reasoning why Kathy Kennedy wanted to steer clear from Ke Huy Quan as Short Round is because she feels that Temple of Doom is the most hated movie, or the most criticized film. And that's what Kathy Kennedy believes, by the way. I'm not sure if she's biased about that, of her thought on the movie, because she is a dancer in the beginning of the film. I don't know if you guys knew that. She is in the movie. But anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Fill me in below what you all have to say about this. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. And I will catch you guys next time.